What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Serious Angler Podcast. Here we dive into everything bass fishing. We take some pretty wild tangents as well and have a dang good time doing it. I'm your host, Bailey Egbert. We are without the Bassin captain, Mr. Andy Full, on today's episode. If you missed the recent episode from this week's live stream with Mr. Matt Becker, that is the most recent episode before this one on MP3. Encourage you guys to listen to that as well. We talked about his trip over to China to fish a bass fishing tournament over in China, as well as from there traveled to Japan and checked out some of the different things tackle shop wise, some of his learnings from fishing over in China and their anglers compared to here in the States. So it was a really cool, very intuitive. Encourage you guys to go listen to that one. But on this episode, we are back with Mr. Andrew Loberg, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro. It's going to be a great show. Whether you're here to pick up some fishing tips or you just want to kick back and talk fishing, you come to the right place. So let's jump right in and to enjoy today's show. All right, folks, we are back. And if you guys missed the first part with Matt Becker, highly encourage you guys to go check that show out where we talked about bass fishing in China. It's mostly for my MP3 folk, but obviously tonight we are live and the show is going on here. We got part two. We have Mr. Andrew Loberg that was going to hop on here in a second. But in case you guys missed it from the intro, one of the things I want to mention to you guys is that Omnia Fishing is running a pretty wicked deal. And right now, you guys heard us talk about being an Omnia Pro member, from the map layers to also just simply the rewards that you can get and the opportunities you can get to save being a pro member. 10% of all of your orders going back to you. So if you go and sign up right now to be a pro member, it costs typically around $50 to be a pro member. Right now, if you use code Serious Pro, no spaces, just Serious Pro, you will get $5 off of that, but you will get a $50 gift card put into your account to go then use on Omnia Fishing after the fact. So you go to use that code and basically you get a $50 gift card and only pay $45 versus $50. So now's the time to take advantage. Links down below if you guys want to go check that out. But without further ado, let's get on our next guest here, Mr. Andrew Loberg. What's going on, dude?
What's up, dude? Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you being extremely flexible. For the people that don't know, I think I changed the show time for Andrew probably a good 5-6 times. And he's like, yeah, dude, I'm good. Yeah, dude, I'm good. So I appreciate that, dude.
Yeah. It's a Wednesday. We're chilling. Yeah, we're hanging out.
Yeah, chilling. I mean, you going to be ready to rock here in a couple months?
I hope so. I'm trying to get some stuff lined up with some sponsors, maybe get a new boat, trying to get everything wrapped up, hopefully the next month or so. But yeah, got to get the schedule all panned out on the calendar, and I'll be ready to rock, man. It's weird how fast and long this season has gone, and we're here to start a new one here pretty soon. So pretty stoked, and I'm ready for it, man.
Has it sunk in yet that you're going to be on the Elite Series?
To be quite honest with you, it kind of has, but not really. It's one of those deals like, after Lake Martin, everyone was just super excited. Phones blowing up, all your travel partners, everyone's just, on another level.
Yeah.
Have a couple cocktails, and you kind of settle in a little bit, and then it kind of hits you, and then I kind of went back to reality. I still work as much as I can when I'm not fishing. So, but yeah, it has a little bit. But to be honest with you, I don't think it'll fully sink in until I launch that boat first day of practice and see all looked up to on TV and just everybody. It'll be a really cool experience, that first tournament.
Heck yeah, dude. And
then
before
it'll
we
hit
get
me.
into
Be like, oh, you're here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh crap. Hey, look, that's Brandon Polinick next to me. It's go time.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Well, dude, if you don't mind me asking before we get into all that stuff, what do you still do for work?
I work for an agricultural consulting company. They're based out of California. They've been by my side the entire time. I got that job out of college, and I actually worked in the field pretty much most of the time back home, doing crop surveys and things like that. And it's been an awesome job. I've studied agriculture through college, and I love the job. I mean, it's endless, science-based applications. So it's a lot of fun, and it's also good to have along with fishing. And they've been by my side, man. I kind of left them for a year or so when I first moved out to fish the pro circuit, And then my boss, super dope dude, called me. He's like, "Hey, we're busy with work. If you have time, if not, no biggie." I'm like, "Heck yeah, let me hop back on." Went back to them, and then I kind of started working remote for them because there was a lot of online work to be had, and been working for them ever since. So it's been I'm very very lucky to have this. Without them, I honestly wouldn't be able to do what I've been doing.
That's awesome, dude. And I guess with that, are you on the East Coast now? Or are you still out over on the West Coast?
Yeah, I live in Gunnersville now. I moved here about a year ago, so
How's that
prime
switch been
location
for you?
for travel. Yeah, dude, it's awesome, man. Gunnersville, pumps them out, every day of the year. I mean, this place is nuts. Full grass, Tennessee River, and the location with travel. I mean, being from Northern California, I used to literally drive everywhere across the country and so many miles in the truck and boat. And just being here, every lake, tournament lake you need to be at's a day's drive. So, I don't have those, you plug it into the the maps and it says, over a day or 2 days, and you're like, "Dude, come
It's just
on."
defeating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're like, "Well, be there in a few days." And what's
Right.
funny is I had some buddies, they got the Toyota Championship here on, Lake Wheeler just down the street, and, I had a handful of buddies from California make that drive, and takes them 3 or 4 days to get over. I did that all the time, and it's just to me now, it's, like, kind of a wild thing to think about driving that far, but I was so used to it back then.
Would you say for people in the West Coast, I mean, you're in that bucket now, man, where it's the guys before you, the Ayler, the Justin Lucas, the Aaron Martin, the Reeses, like you're added to that bucket of the West Coast guys. We just had Bryant Smith on. I mean, it's a fast growing. Well, I wouldn't say fast growing. I would say it's been a large influence on the pro bass fishing circuit. And so I guess for people that are following in your guys' footsteps, do you think that is a necessity that they have to do if they want to be able to compete? And whether it's the opens, elites, is financial wise, move closer to the East Coast versus staying over on the West Coast?
Yeah, financially, I mean, for me, financially, I had to do it because just being in California, man, it's so expensive just to buy a house. If you wanna have a family, it can be pretty brutal, man. It's especially with fishing, it's a lot tougher being that you add up 3 or 4 days of travel, over 9 events or how many other events you're doing, that adds up to weeks, and then you're away from family and the costs, and it definitely takes a burden on a lot of people and folks back there, and there's a ton of awesome fishermen back in California that easily can compete against at the highest level out here, but you're just so far removed from national tournaments, it just makes it tough, but, in today's age with, inflation and things like that, being in California, it definitely makes it a lot harder, whereas years
Yeah.
ago, it definitely wasn't easy, but, it was a little easier, per se with the cost of living.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a huge factor of it. I mean, we were talking with Bryant Smith, and basically almost every event, unless it was a back to back, he was basically flying home and leaving his boat back there. And now apparently he might, because he's fishing the BAM tour next year. He's going to
Yep,
basically keep his boat from this year, leave it on the West Coast so that he has a boat on the West Coast and one on the East Coast.
yep.
And that's just crazy, the kind of, strategic there. But it's no joke, man. I mean, I think for a lot of people that barely travel out of their own region, when you pull up Google Maps, to your point, where it's like when it says 32-hour drive plus, I mean, it's a daunting thing to look at, especially one to click go and embark on. It's not easy whatsoever. Because I mean, you see that,
Yeah,
you're like, okay, that's a day's
it's
drive,
true.
but you're splitting that up into multiple days.
Yep. I remember last year on the pro circuit, I was home and I was working a little bit and I drove from I used to live just north of Sacramento and I drove from there to the Potomac River. So basically from Delta to Delta, like the Cal Delta to the Potomac River, it took me 4 days straight of driving. I mean, it was the longest I've ever been on in my life. It was nuts.
That sucks. I don't even know how. I don't think there's a word for how much that sucks. Like,
It
it's
it's
just
brutal.
the one thing I was telling Brian, I was like, dude, you need to was like, you need to get an instant or the Valvoline instant oil change as a sponsor because the amount of oil
Right.
changes I'm sure you guys go through is absurd. It's
Yeah,
basically every
oil,
trip.
tires. Yep, oils, tires, trailers, dude, I've gone through so many hubs on my boat trailer, it's unbelievable. Uh, yeah, just everything, it just everything adds up, man. And no one
Yeah,
wants to be
I
in a
guess
truck for a day of driving, dude, that's brutal.
no, no, nobody does. Nobody
Yeah,
and that's really what it comes down to the gauntlet, you know, when everybody calls you guys. I mean, they say it out of humor, but it's really the truth where it's
yeah,
basically a full-time truck driver, part-time fisherman, and especially when you're
it
on the
is,
West Coast, I think that is, that's
yeah.
accentuated. But
But I'll tell you what, you get home, man, and you go to the Clear Lake and launch that bass boat, you're pretty hyped up to be back there.
yeah, I imagine, yeah. Yeah, no joke. That's just where you gotta have a buddy that's still over there and just fly over,
Yeah,
have him pick you up
it's
from the
good,
airport.
good fishing.
Yeah.
I know I'm jealous of Bryant having the 2 boat thing because 'cause I'd love to do that, man, have a boat back home and, fish some tournaments back there because there's still some big tournaments back there to be fishing, so and I haven't been a part of those the last few years, so, maybe in the future I'll be able to do that, but as of now, we're a southerner.
Yeah. Well, I guess with that and talking about this season, big, obviously huge change for the elites, and it's comes in the your first season with the Elite Series and one that
Yeah,
they've never had before with no entry fees and things like that. And uh, I guess for you, what's your take on it? Because I've obviously this has been a quite the conversation and quite the debate, and I've seen some of the guys put the different, I guess, mock-ups, if you will, from last season and earnings together. But as a rookie coming in, not having a 2023 season, or excuse me, 2024 season to go and calculate, what's your point of view from it?
man, to be honest with you, it's hard for me to have a really, big take on this. I think the no entry thing is a huge step in the right direction because our sport is in dire need of it. I think it's a phenomenal way to go, but, there are some consequences with the payback, as you guys saw. I'm hoping, it'll change and, we can get that payback up, but, I think the no entry thing, hopefully that sticks around for many years to come, and, we get more sponsor dollars into the sport and, make this a big deal, man. I just, uh, I think having the no entry, will kind of officially make it a sport and something to strive to because once you get to a level like the elites or the Bass Pro Tour and things like that, it's you should be making a career and a good living at your job, and hopefully in the future that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, and I guess I'm completely with you on it. I want the absolute best for you guys when it comes to this, you know, personally in regards to as a fan, and then also, you know, especially well, growing up being, you know, a lifelong fan of this deal, but also now getting to the point where a lot of you guys in it, I'm fortunate enough to call a friend. You know, I'm having you on this show here, where obviously I want the best for you guys. But to
Totally.
the people that might say, you know, tournament fishing, they say you've heard the saying, or they call it glorified gambling. And so when they
Right.
see people that say, well, if you're finishing middle of the pack, you're probably not going to get paid. What do you agree, disagree from that train of thought of like, because you're the thought is that tournament fishing is quote unquote gambling, that doesn't mean you should be paid out to so many spaces, if that makes any sense?
To an extent, for sure, to an extent. There's one side of me that's like, you know what, if you finish 50th or 80th, you didn't earn it. You didn't do your job. But when you get to the highest level in anything in a sport, I feel like you should be getting taken care of. And granted, in my opinion, too, uh, we shouldn't have to rely as heavily on paybacks. I mean, we should, but, I feel like too, we should be able to rely on sponsorships to make a living and things like that, but it's also fishing, you know what I mean? Like, you look at golf and, you look at their paybacks, most of those guys don't even, you know, bat an eye at paybacks because they're making double or triple what they're making on their sponsorships.
Right.
So, it's obviously way different. In fishing, it's like we do have to rely heavily on a payback because that's a pretty big deal because
Yeah.
sponsor dollars are limited in the fishing industry. So I don't know, man. It's a tough call, and for me, it's hard for me to have a big say because I'm so new to it. I haven't fished an elite event at all, so
Yeah.
it's just going to be one of those deals. I'm going to be learning, uh, the bass organization and learning all the elite anglers, who's involved, and things like that. So it'll be cool to see how everything runs.
Yeah, man, it's a big season of change, and I think I'll be curious, and I'd love to, I'm sure you're familiar with him, Ken Duke, one of the, I guess the
Yeah,
walking bass fishing encyclopedia, as we call
yeah,
him. We'll love
yep,
to kind of pick his brain on this. And I'm sure this is going to come up in a Bass After Dark show that they do over there. But I feel like the past 3 years in history, it's got to be the most change in tournament bass fishing from the top level of changes over a short period of time ever. I feel like. I mean, granted, maybe that's just
100%.
heightened because of the
Yeah,
social media age, but or maybe just because we're living in it currently that feels that way. But it feels like a lot, at
yeah.
least
No, I
looking at
think
from
it's for
your
sure.
guys' perspective.
Yeah, I think it's for sure heightened over social media because there's so many people that wanna jump in, and I think that shows you as well as how small the actual sport is how, people can influence it so easily.
Yeah.
So it definitely needs to be protected, and it definitely needs to be, a little bit more, thought out, but no, I agree, there's a lot of changes happening, and, I still think with all the changes between any organization, I still think it's for the positive. It's not no one wants to ruin the sport. It's
Yeah.
all for the positive, and you can always change it back. So, uh, I don't know. I'm one of those guys. I just absolutely love bass tournaments. I just want to go fish a tournament, but I also want to protect it. And I think about anglers like myself when I was a really young kid. From California, I think about guys out there, younger kids everywhere, and just wanting to do it for a living. So you want to make it and protect the sport and make sure it'll grow for them to do it at the highest level as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm completely with that. And what I've kind of relayed to some folks is, maybe they don't have the means to do the no entries and the payouts this year, but maybe it's a half step forward where it's, they haven't taken the complete step yet, but maybe next year it comes where it's, you know,
Right.
you're able to add on the payouts on top of this, and who knows how that
Right.
all works. I mean, we don't live inside the walls of Bass and how they think about things, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's
With any change, there's growing pains with any change. I mean, that's just what it is.
yeah, completely there with you. And I do understand though where a lot of anglers are coming from when they look at that budgeting from previous years and see how certain caliber of depending on how you do, you'll lose money even for being successful. Like if you're in the 20 to 30s, how you're gonna be losing out on money. And I totally understand where that's coming from. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm being short sighted to that. One thing I am excited about with this change, and it's not even with the payouts or anything like that. I'm more excited where you have all these anglers that are working with brands and the amount of money that the brands, at least, and I'm not speaking for every angler here, but a lot of these brands, what they'll do is, and I'm just preaching to the choir with you here, but like how they'll help with entry fees. That money they'll give to them or to go towards entry fees for the year. Where now I can see I'm more pumped to see with certain anglers and personalities of those brands, which I hope they'll do. And I think if they're smart, they'll do this. Is take that money that they were assisting with entry fees and now put that into activations and things with that angler. So it's like so and so brand is giving you money and you for entry fees. Where now you don't have to pay entry fees. Where now it's like, hey, we're gonna throw this amount of money at you and assist you on. We're gonna work with you to take this money and put it towards hiring somebody for social for you or
Right.
somebody to follow you around with a camera, something that can go towards one improving the content output for that brand that also helps out
Yep.
you. I think what that does is just it brings alternative eyes to the sport where I think well, now that you're not paying entry fees, we have all this money here that would be going to entry fees that now can be for the betterment of the angler brands, the brands that are inside fishing, because we know that that needs to increase as well. As the brands need to be more successful that live in the fishing industry. Because you mean you said it, and I think everybody obviously understands it that there's only so much money in fishing right now.
Right. Right.
We need the non-endemic eyes. So the
Mhm.
more exterior eyes we can get, hopefully that can bring in those non-endemics, bring back the
Mhm.
ages of the Walmart teams and things like that. But um,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot to it, man. I'm just really excited to see, and I'm hopeful that a lot other brands see it that way, where they look at the anglers of guys like yourself, guys like the big brands right now of the Matty Robertson, Polinick, people like that, where it's hey, that's money that we can now put back into different plans, if that makes any sort of sense. But
Right, yeah,
uh,
let's go film, let's get on the water.
yeah,
There's definitely a lot less stress on entry fees and all that. Totally, I fully agree. Uh,
yeah,
be able to spread the word and fishing and create content. That's what it's about nowadays, and if guys can do that, all in.
yeah. And honestly, I just think it's a better use of money personally.
No
I
doubt,
just think,
no doubt.
yeah, yeah, it just seems more meaningful to me. But I guess for you, man, going into next year, to kind of get off the topic of no entry fees, 'cause I think that's becoming certainly exhausted over the past few weeks. But going into next year, man, I guess like if you had to name one angler that I don't want to say intimidated by, because I don't think it's an intimidation thing, but more like if they lined up next to you, you're like, oh shit. Like who would be the first name that comes to mind?
Probably Hackney.
Hackney.
I
Okay.
don't know
The
why,
similar
dude.
style or what?
Just growing up, man, I've always been a big Hackney fan, and, he's a big flipper, loves fishing shallow, and I love doing that, like, fishing the Delta and Clear Lake. That's what we do a lot at home, and it just growing up watching him, he's a total stud, man. He's a total stud, and just growing up watching him, he's just got that personality where it's like he's gonna every tournament and every day on the water, he's gonna try to break you, and that's just what it is, and he doesn't care, and, I've always loved that mentality. So, Hackney would be if when I roll up next to him, it'd be pretty cool.
If you had to fish a team tournament with one of the current Elite Series pros, which outside of Hackney, who would you select? Who would you think you'd pair well with?
That's a tricky one. I think, out of most of those dudes, mainly for entertainment, the joy of being on the water with them and learning a bunch, it'd probably be Fighter. Fighter would be a really cool dude to fish with.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one too.
Yep.
That's for sure. A lot of character. Uh,
Yeah.
so I guess with that, I mean, did you have coming from the West Coast? Did you have like a role model? I mean, obviously you mentioned Hackney first and foremost there, but growing up out on the West Coast, was there guys out there that you guys looked to, or do you still had your eyes on eyeballs on the main stage where obviously Hackney and all them were kind of living out here on the East Coast and Central America? Like it's does that make sense? Like,
Yeah,
did you
like
have somebody out there you
no, totally.
idolized?
Yeah, I had like, there like Aaron Martin's obviously fully I was a massive A Mart fan. Uh, Justin Lucas, I looked up to him a lot, and luckily I don't live too far from him now. So he's been pretty cool to be around. Like Brent Ayler, I looked up to him a lot because it was cool because most of those guys were still living in California, like a Skeet Reese too,
Yeah.
Mark Daniels. A lot of them were still living back in California when they were competing out here. So it was cool to see them on the top stage at that level and also come home and fish local events and see them. And you're like, dude, this is crazy. I just saw you on TV whacking fatties on a chatterbait in Okeechobee, and now you're fishing Lake Shasta with a spinning rod. What the heck is going on? So it was really cool. And I looked up to them a lot because it was like, being from California, I say this a lot. Probably sound like a loser, but it just felt like such a dream to try to fish professionally because all these lakes out here, I never thought I would even fish them, let alone professionally. So
Yeah.
it was like a weird thing. Like you'd see these guys, you're like, no way they drove from California to fish these lakes, and then they're back here competing on like these National Guard events on Shasta, the Delta, Brett Heights whacking them. He went from Okeechobee dub on the chatter, came out to the Delta or whatever, Clear Lake dub on the chatter, and you're like, dude, what is going on? And you just
Yeah.
look up to him, and you're like, this is crazy. And obviously,
Yeah.
KVD and all those dudes, you're like, this is cool. But the California dudes, I was a little biased because you saw them like in person, you know? And even
Yeah.
like Cody Meyer, he made it this year through the opens, just zipped on by. And I remember I've said this before. I remember watching him going to Galaxy Marine in Newcastle. He lived 45 minutes from my house. As a kid, I'd walk into Galaxy Marine and be like, "There's Cody Meyer talking on stage, doing a little bass seminar when I was a young kid." And same with like Zaldane, you know, it's just kind of a bizarre thing, but
Yeah.
it's definitely cool.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'll always hammer home about our sport that I love is just how accessible, I guess I'll use for you guys at the top echelon of the sport is like you just mentioned, like you can't go walk into a random Nike store and then there's LeBron. You can talk to LeBron. Yeah, that's just
Right,
doesn't work that
right.
way. It's where fishing's completely
Yeah.
different, man. Where it's you got guys that travel down the road and they got to stop in that tackle shop. Where I'm sure there's been some small town, country boys tackle shop that don't think any day of the week that they're gonna see a Strike King wrap, Nitro wrap. KVD
Right,
walks in the store and they're
right.
like, "Holy crap, KVD's in the tackle shop!"
There
Like
he is.
it's very different with that, and I love that about it. But
Yeah.
and it's cool. What do you think is the one attribute that you've brought from the West Coast that'll help you or is helping you currently in your fishing and maybe through the opens, but going forth in the elites?
Yeah, honestly, just being really diverse and fishing, man. Um I wouldn't say I'm like just honed in on one specific thing. I love fishing grass, so if there's a blade of grass in a lake, I'm gonna try to find it. Uh, but I think being diverse, like where I grew up in Northern California, having Clearwater spotted bass, super deep, having the Delta tidal river fishing, having Clear Lake, natural lake, grass, all that stuff, being able to go from 6 pound tests all the way up to 80 pound braid. Uh, I've been able to kind of use a lot of different techniques and kind of do them well. And then these last couple of years fishing out east, I've kind of just honed in those skills on many different lakes, and I think that's kind of the biggest, because being if you're from a certain state that's has only one type of structure or whatever it may be, you're kind of limited on what you can do. But being back from California, you could pick up a bait and catch as many and as big ones as you want on it. So you definitely get a lot of confidence in different things. But I think just being diverse is going to be is kind of what I've brought from California out here.
Yeah. Is there a fit? I feel like to your point, California has the fisheries to be the training grounds to try to go and be professional from Clearwater spotted bass to the Delta to Clear Lake to you got the Columbia. I feel like is
Yeah.
there anything out east
Yep.
that fishery wise California doesn't prepare you for that maybe has made you nervous, gone to in the past, or you are going to in 25?
Yeah, it's definitely it's not the lakes itself. It's how fish set up and like bait fish, like herring. I don't even want to deal with it. The guy Emil Wagner, I've traveled with him all year. And I travel with him next year, dude. I,
He's in the comments
it's
saying
cool.
just here to troll
Yeah,
Loberg.
yeah, exactly. Herring's cool and all, but you can have it, man. That deal's a crazy, crazy ordeal, and I'm still learning, and I'm hoping he's gonna teach me a lot this next year on herring lakes. But like really, it's bait fish and how fish set up is the biggest thing because yeah, bass is a bass, but California they just set up a little bit different. Like we have a lot of our bass out home. They eat trout and they eat salmon and they eat big old baits and we go giant baits for 'em, and they just set up a little different. Out here, it's big lizard shad, uh, and things like that. So there is a little bit of a different deal, but honestly, as far as like a lake sets up, not really. I mean, you could look at a map and springtime, summer, winter, fall, whatever it may be, do the whole, you know, uh bass textbook, whatever stuff you want to do, and you can go find some fish. But making them react, setting them up is a whole different deal.
Heck yeah, dude. So we have some questions here from folks on social media that requested to have these on the show to ask you. One
Heck
of the
yeah.
ones is from the whole angler. He's asking if you think Luke Johns is a future force to be reckoned with.
No doubt. He's doing really well. He just won a big pro-am on the Delta. He's been winning and top finishes the last few years. He's a phenomenal angler.
The next one, I guess, is a two-parter, but he's also asking if you think the color purple is a must-have in your soft plastics.
Hey, we don't call it purple. We call it margarita, baby.
Margarita, yeah, okay.
Margarita mutilator. Come on. Heck yeah, it is.
Yeah, your Western
Yeah.
is showing. Yeah. I
Yeah.
like
It's a must, man. You gotta go purple worm.
it. We have one here from Steve that's asked, who are you going to be traveling with next year for your rookie season?
So I think it's gonna be me, Emil, and then I think Tucker Smith and Paul Marks. I think us four are gonna travel together.
That's a hammer
So
house
it'll be a
right
good
there.
crew. Yeah, I'll be trying to keep up with those three knuckleheads, the young guns.
Yeah,
I'm
are you
old,
dad
man.
of the house then?
I'm old, man. I just turned 31. I'm an old guy. I go to
What?
bed here in about 20 minutes. Yeah.
Holy smokes, dude! I had no idea. Honestly, I
Yeah.
thought you were maybe around my age. Like I thought you were like maybe 25, 26. I did not
No, now
realize
the
you
good
were
part is I
such
look
a dude.
young, so yeah, I look young, so
Yeah,
that's good.
you got that going
I
for
got
you.
my beard gone. The beard's this is a 2-week beard, so I feel like I'm doing pretty well.
Dang, son. I got homeless. That's just all this looks like. It's nothing but homeless.
Yeah,
Uh, hey, I mean, that's a good problem to have. I mean, granted, you're in the house of. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know how old Emil is, but the other guys, they're pretty dang young.
yeah. No, I think Emil's like 25 or 26, so he's getting up there.
Hey,
He's ready to
you
settle
are
down.
dad. You are dad of the house then.
Yep.
They're gonna be partying while you're trying to go to sleep.
No, I'll make sure to tuck everybody in at night and get a good night's rest, and I gotta wake everybody up. I know that for a fact.
I love it, dude. Do you have a road story from the opens with I'm not sure if you traveled a similar crew or not, but
Yeah,
anything that
like this year I traveled with Emil, my buddy Christian Ostrander, he's from California. He's gonna be a problem next year on the opens again. And then Buddy Benson, he's gonna be a real big issue. He's a stud. Buddy Benson's only 19 and he's a beast, but us four traveled this year and dude, we've had so many I mean, there's so many things to think about with stories, but uh I don't know, it's just probably not a lot of them you could really talk about on here, but uh it's just yeah, I don't know. There's just so many different memories from this year. Like
Heck
the
yeah, dude.
tournament what, 6 years ago. It was only in February. Uh, but yeah, I can't really think of anything too crazy right now. If I think of something, I'll come back to it.
Yeah, no worries, bro. We'll get you on mid season. We'll have like an Emil roast session. Is what we'll do.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's a good dude.
He can take the heat. He'll be all right. So
Yeah.
I got one last thing that we'll do before we let you go here. I don't want to keep you too late, but I guess one thing I'm curious to ask is if you had a one fear and then one dream as a rookie next year, what would you say that is?
A fear would be uh I don't know, doing something stupid like hitting someone's truck with my boat or vice or with my truck. I don't know, just something like that where my nerves just kick in. I mean, I don't wanna say I don't wanna do bad in an event because everyone has bad events, but I don't know, a fear would be for sure getting in somebody's way at the wrong time or not knowing, like, some thing that
Have it be
people do
happy
on
and he
the
gives you
elites.
the
I don't know, I
eyeball.
just yeah, I don't know. Yeah, something weird. uh, like leaving a drain plug out or a strap on your trailer first tournament. Just embarrassing yourself that way, that would suck. Uh, and then what was the other one?
You're a dream.
Taking a dub. We're gonna try to do those quite a bit, but, winning one would be awesome. I'd love a blue trophy, man.
Heck
That
yeah,
would be a
dude.
dream. Also making a classic.
Yeah, I mean, through AOI for sure. Obviously trying to qualify for the classic. Are you gonna try to get back in one of the divisions of the opens this year too?
I'd like to dabble in some of the opens for sure. I haven't really lined up my schedule yet to kinda see which ones I can fish, but I'd love to. I just wanna fish as many tournaments as I can next year, man. They're so much fun.
Heck yeah, bro. Well, buddy, I got one
Yeah.
last question for you, and we'll let you go here. And that is one we pitched actually to the folks on social. But if you went fishing for the day and you got to pick one pro angler, run one pro athlete, and one celebrity to go fish with, who would you choose?
Dude, for sure Trump. Let's go there. We'll go
Fresh.
Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go Trump as celebrity. Because he takes dubs. And pro angler, for sure KBD. I mean, I'd love to get out
Okay.
on the boat with him. Yeah.
All right. And what about pro athlete? Last one of the mix.
Oh, pro athlete. Gosh, that's tough.
You look like a baseball guy to me.
Not really, actually. I'd probably be Tiger Woods.
It's like, oh, golf guy. Okay.
Yeah, I like golf.
There's a whole lot of winning in your three.
Yeah, that's the
Hey,
mentality we gotta have, man. That's the mentality we gotta have.
it's mentalities of those three. Yeah. I mean, shoot, we
Mhm.
want to talk about killer instinct and just basically not, you know, basically dub or nothing. You know,
Yep, exactly. Go big or go
that's,
home.
yeah,
That's
that's
how
all.
that's how I wanna base my whole year next year, man. Just freaking try to win every single one. Just go at it.
I mean, at this rate, not to go back
Why
to it, but
not?
with the payouts, you might as well. Yeah.
I know. Exactly. I'm gonna
Yeah.
survive, you have to.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only way I see you getting any ROI on this thing is basically trying to swim for that.
Exactly, exactly.
But dude, thank you so much for taking the time out. I'm gonna be rooting for you, and man, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the classic as well. I know you wanting to be fishing it, of course, but I'm looking forward to seeing you at the classic and rooting for you on your rookie season, bro.
Heck yeah, dude. Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. It's always a good time hanging with you, and, yeah, looking forward to it, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, something we got brewing that I'll have to tap into a little bit more offline here, but for you West Coast folk, should be pretty excited about it. But something we definitely will look to recruit you for, I'll say, Andrew. But appreciate you taking the time out, buddy. And we'll be talking here real soon, bro.
Heck yeah. Sounds good, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Have a good night.
Alright.
There you have it, folks. Mr. Andrew Loberg. Appreciate him for joining the show. Another guy that is taking his talents from the West Coast, gone to the East Coast, and seeing just basically what you got to do to make things happen. Especially from a financial standpoint nowadays, with things how it is, especially over there, like you mentioned in California, it's tough. It's very tough. There's guys still doing it though. There's still guys out there that are doing it and doing it successfully. And I'm really excited to see what he's done because he's been just so consistently successful in his tournaments as of recent in the past few years, keeping up with them. That I don't think it was really a shock to anybody that he qualified for the Elite Series. I think he's going to be a sleeper for next year as well. So it'd be fun to keep up with him. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed that episode. Go down to in a link in the description. You can follow him on social media. And it might have been a little bit choppy for some of you guys. Hopefully, it wasn't too bad on the MP3 end. Um, but overall, a great show. And we got some more coming up for you guys. We're actually the next 2 weeks to let you guys know we're not going to have a live stream. There's not going to be a Tuesday Night Live the next 2 weeks. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get these shows crammed in here so that we can do a little pre-recording and drop those on Tuesday mornings for you guys for the coming weeks. We'll try to have a Tuesday, Friday for the next 2 weeks. Just being that I'm going to be on work trips, and so I will be out of the mix. So we'll get some of those recorded. We're going to have Stephen Barden back on the show, so we'll have some biologist talk. We got Bo Browning joining the show as well. We got a few more folks that we're trying to get on board for a upcoming show here that hopefully you guys will enjoy, and I'm looking forward to those. But I appreciate you all. If you guys can, especially, I know some of you guys are obviously watching right now on YouTube. Um, but if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, things like that, please leave us a rating and review if you can. Helps us out immensely. We got some big things in the hopper for next year that personally, as well as on the podcast, that I'm excited to announce here in the coming weeks. Some new brands that are going to be joining the gauntlet of our podcast network here for next year. Potentially even some new shows on the podcast network for next year. We got a lot going on. And I know I've said that a few times, but I'm really excited to finally bring all this hard work that we've been doing behind the scenes for so long to fruition. And it all stems back to you guys being so supportive week after week, year after year. And you guys are incredible. If there's ways that you think you would like to see the show improve, please DM us, email us. This is as much your guys' show as it is ours. So appreciate y'all. Have a great night. We'll see you on the next one.